Hello, good evening, and welcome to Become a Better Man. My name is Tunde Disu. Thank you for being part of today's program. On today's program, we are going to be talking about what it means to be alone, what it means to deliberately put yourself away from the hustles and bustles and the goings and comings and the busyness and the never ending, never stopping issues of life. Just take a break. Just find a quiet place to be by yourself, to be with yourself. I've said this before on this program, on this platform. Sometimes the best thing you can do is to talk to yourself, is to speak to yourself, is to challenge yourself, is to have a dialogue with yourself. And one of the best time or the best places to do that is when you're on your own, when you're by yourself, when you're with yourself, when you are all just with you. Now, I understand that the society, the world we live in, is a world of connection, either virtual or in reality. And so there's the crave, the need, the desire, the demand for you to be connected to something, to someone, to some people, somewhere, whether real or unreal. There is a deeper hunger for connectivity. There is a stronger demand that is placed on all of us to be connected in one way or another to other people, to things around us. I'm sure you've heard of Internet of Things, where everything is connected and everything is talking to everyone, and the whole thing just knitted together. And that is great. That is wonderful. But as a person, there must be a time in your life that you set aside, you create, you deliberately put together. Put a date in your diary. Put a date in your schedule. Cancel all other things. And just be by yourself. Just be with yourself. But more importantly, be happy about it. And so what we'll be talking about tonight is being alone and happy. Being alone and still be happy. Question: is it possible in this day and age, is it possible for us to balance being social with spending time by ourselves? Is there a point of equilibrium? Is there an intersection where you are still very social, very connected, but at the same time, you are enjoying a lot of time, or you're enjoying some time with yourself, by yourself? Now, there may be days when you just decide, you know what, today I'm fasting anything to do with mobile phones or telephone or connectivity. I'm not going to answer any phone calls. I'm not going to respond to any text messages. I'm not going to check on any social media. I'm not just going to do it. All I want to do today is just be me, with me, for me, by me, with myself. Me, myself, and I. That is the topic. That is my agenda for today. I just want to be by myself. Have you tried that lately? Have you ever tried that? Is it something you think you will be able to do? Maybe you just want to be in the house by yourself, no phone, no internet, no Facebook, no Twitter or anything. You just be in the house. Spend the whole day just with yourself. You see, choosing to retreat, when you make the decision to be by yourself, some of your friends will have the impression that you are antisocial, that you are not connecting, that you are not relating, that you are just standing aloof. They don't know what's wrong with you. And that can put a lot of pressure on anyone and everyone. And there's so many difficulties attached to that. But the truth is this: it is in moments like that, it is during times like that, it is at that such a time and place that many of us will learn the benefit of being alone. I know it's harder to learn to be alone in the busyness of everything that we're doing. When you are expected, you are required, you are supposed to interact, you are supposed to connect with people on a daily basis. And so when you don't do that, people in their mind think something is wrong with you. People expect that the normal thing for everyone is to be socially active. And so when you detach, as it were, when you stand away from quote and unquote connection, quote and unquote socialization, when you decide to just be by yourself, people ask, what's wrong with you? But this is the good news. When you and I, when we learn to be alone and be happy about it, another layer of ourself is revealed. Another layer of self-care and self-improvement, they just evolve. They come out from the closest, as it were. You just suddenly discover something about yourself that maybe for the first time you are realizing is in you and with you. When you choose to be alone, you open yourself to a deeper and better understanding of new aspects of your life, of new aspects of your person, of new aspects of who you are. And all of that revelation and discovery and encounter, they will strengthen you. They will strengthen you physically, morally, psychologically, emotionally. In fact, they will help your relationships down the line. Because relationships ultimately is about give and take. But you cannot give what you don't have or what you don't know you have. So some of the things that you have, some of the qualities that you possess, some of the attributes that you can bring into your relationships will only be discovered when you are by yourself, when you are on your own, when you are alone, when you can dig deep and find yourself and see yourself and discover yourself and just evolve as a person. One of the unfortunate things about being an adult is that it puts a bag full load of responsibilities on your table, on your shoulder. You are juggling, you are thinking, you are considering, you are buying, you are selling, you are negotiating, you are doing, and so you are constantly doing something. Friends are coming and going. Relationships are being formed and disengaged. Social understanding is being established, and then the next day it's not there anymore. And all of that they drain energy out of you. They drain power out of you. They make you question, what is the point of all of this? However, if you would just carve out a little bit of time, if you would just shave off a little bit of space, if you would just create a bubble, as it were, where you can begin to be alone with yourself, by yourself, to strategize, to think, to ponder, to process, to examine, you will find a depth of happiness that you never thought was possible. But more than that, your relationships will be better, will be richer, will have more quality, will have more essence, will have more resources to it. Because now you have increased and improved and grown and enlarged yourself as a person. So you have more room, you have more tolerance, you have more interest, you have more exposure that you can bring into any relationships that you are involved with. In this day and age that we live in, where everybody is connected in at least three different points of connections: your email, your phone, your WhatsApp, your Facebook, your Twitter, your Instagram, your this, your that. So everybody feels they are connected in one way or the other. And everybody thinks of or pretend to have friends that they don't have. In fact, a research recently shows that 16% of the so-called Generation X in America have no friends. They don't have friends not because they are not friendly, but they don't have friends because they choose not to. They choose not to interact at that level because they found a way, they created a room, as it were, in their lives just for themselves. They enjoy their time of being alone with themselves without any external connection. Being alone is a healthy choice. It's a good thing. It is beneficial to you. It helps you in a lot of ways, and we'll get into that as we go along tonight. So when you find yourself without any company, without any associate, without any partners, without any connection or contact, don't feel terrible about it. Don't feel what is wrong with me. Don't start to fidget and start to wonder, is the world coming to an end? No. Seize that moment. Capture that moment as a time that is meant for you. I've had many ladies say things like, this is my me time. This is my me time. Which means this is a time I am spending with me, for me, by myself, or on my own. And that's the time they sit down to pamper themselves, look after their nails and their lashes and their this and their that, which is great. But you see, in most cases, you're still doing that in the context, in the presence, in connection with other people. So even though you call it your me time, there's still a lot of this going on. There's still a lot of touching and going and all of that going on. So it's really not a time that you are alone. It's a time that you put aside to do something out of the norm, out of your normal routine, out of your daily agenda. So yes, it's good and please enjoy it. But it's different from what we're talking about tonight. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever been happy just by yourself? Have you ever just been happy just even though you are by yourself with yourself and yet you are happy? Conversely, has there been other times when you are by yourself, but you wish, man, I wish I could just have some people around me. I wish I could just have John with me. I wish Rachel would just come through the door now. I wish this and I. Whether in the first instance where you're by yourself and you're happy, or in the second instance where you are by yourself and you are unhappy, unsettled, and a bit fidgety. In both situations, you were alone. You were alone. But it is only in one of those two situations that you were lonely, not both of them. The point I'm trying to make is this: there's a big difference between being alone and being lonely. I know we use those two interchangeably. That you are alone does not mean you are lonely. But you cannot be lonely without being alone. When you are lonely, the word lonely is an adjective. It's an adjective, it's a descriptive word. It describes a feeling of sadness, of feeling down within yourself. Most likely because you feel isolated, you feel abandoned, you feel unloved, you feel nobody cares. That's what being lonely is. But when you are alone, being alone is also a descriptive word. It's an adjective as well. It describes being a singular, being one, being by yourself, being with yourself, separate from others. But like I said, you can be alone without feeling lonely. And that is the goal of tonight's program, to help you understand that there is absolutely nothing wrong in being alone. You can be alone without feeling lonely. In fact, the essence of tonight's program is to encourage each and every one of us to find within ourselves the resolve, the strength, the power, the ability, the courage to learn how to be alone without being lonely. To learn how to be alone and still be happy for being alone. Because being alone is a description of a state of being. But loneliness, being lonely, is a description of an emotional response to your circumstances, to your environment, to the situation in which you find yourself. Being alone is different from being lonely. Being alone is a description of a state of being. But being lonely is an emotional response to something or events or circumstances that are around you. You see, the truth is, for instance, when you go to the bathroom, you're there alone, but you're not sad. But you could be in the midst of 158,000 people in the same place and still be alone, still be lonely. Because loneliness is an emotional response. Being alone is a state of being. Being alone describes a state of isolation, a state of solitude, when you are outside of the company of others. That's what it means to be alone. And research has shown in different ways and different times the benefit of being in a solitude position, a solitude state, where you just be by yourself, with yourself, for however long you want. Loneliness is usually, in most cases, a description of feeling sad, abandoned on your own. Loneliness is the state of mind, but being alone is a state of being. Loneliness is when you are with 100 people, like I said, and you still don't feel anything emotionally. It's when your dreams are haunting you. Everywhere you look, it's like that ghost is coming. It's being loneliness is that thing that wakes you up at 2:30 a.m. And it just keeps going round and round and round in your head. You try to sleep, you can't sleep. You turn this way, you can't sleep. You lie face down, you can't sleep. It's just there. It's the time when you ask yourself, God, why now? What is going on? How come I can't get off this sameness? Why is this thing happening to me? But being alone is when you want to know your priorities. When you set aside time to set your record straight, to put yourself, your person in order, to help yourself establish. Where are you? The reason a lot of us are seemingly not making progress in our lives, in our jobs, in our careers, in our relationships, in everything we do, is because we don't know where we are. And until you know where you are part time, you are unable to map the journey, the route to get to where you're going. But when you are alone, it's a good time for you to establish your exact geographical, physical location. Being alone is when you just wake up in the morning and you feel like, I just want to have some ice cream, and just sit down and watch TV, and just sit down and just sing to myself, and just sit down and just lie on my couch, or just play with my dog, or whatever you. Being alone is how you get away from everything else just to be with yourself. When you are alone, you are forced to realize that all things, it lifts a lot of things up from the table, as it were, and it brings them right before your eyes for you to have a good focus on them. You suddenly discover that many of the things that you thought were certain before, they're not. Things that you thought you were sure about before, suddenly you start to discover the cracks in them, the errors in them. You question your beliefs. You challenge yourself about what you are thinking. You query what you stand for. What are your convictions? You can only do that when you are alone, by yourself. Is it healthy to be alone? Is it healthy to be alone? I'm not talking about loneliness. To be alone. Is it healthy? Oh, yes, it is. It is very healthy. It is highly recommended. With balance, obviously. Spending quality time with yourself is good. It's an excellent thing. It's a wonderful thing. It is a highly recommended thing because it helps you to enhance both your psychological and your physiological development. And it helps you to re-examine, to dissect and open up your life experiences. Because we're all too much in a hurry these days. And some of the experiences, some of the lessons, some of the things we're supposed to take away from encounters, because we're too busy and rushing and running, and we don't. But when you are alone, you revisit that incident. You can revisit that scenario. You can revisit that conversation and reopen it again and re-examine the components and re-examine the context within which all of this is happening, and then start to pick on the life lessons, on the benefits, on what you have gained out of it. So if you desire to be more productive, to be more effective, to be more relevant, one of the things that you and I must learn to do is to spend time alone with ourselves, by ourselves. Having said that, if you spend a lot of time by yourself, because there must be a balance here. If you spend excessive time with yourself, by yourself, it can negatively impact your mental and physical health as well. So there must be a balance that you draw somewhere. If you are constantly and permanently by yourself, with yourself, not connecting to anything or anyone, or vaguely just here today, gone tomorrow kind of a thing. If you are excessively spending time with yourself, by yourself, it will keep you at the mercy of your inner critics. Because what it does is it creates a bubble around you that all you can see is the four walls of that bubble. And because that is all you can see, you start to, there's the inner silent voice that will start to criticize you, condemn you, question you, challenge you, ridicule you. And gradually, before you know it, depression is setting in. Bitterness is growing. Suddenly, resentment is planting a root inside of you. Because all you can think of, all you can imagine, all you can see, all you can process are the things that are not working. The people that don't like it, the people that are this, the person that, the circumstances that this. When you spend too much time with yourself, it will bring some painful loneliness experience, which will start to eat away on your sound mind, on the quality of your health, on the way you think, the way you see things, the way you process things. But when you spend time, a measurable time, not excessive time, a time that is just right with yourself. When you spend time alone with yourself, it can increase your productivity. Let me ask you this. If you have a task to do, a real brain task that you need to do, how quickly do you get that job done when you have people and friends and things around you just going check out? Everybody is talking, the phone is ringing, the kitchen plate is breaking, the next door neighbor's dog is barking. You realize that you are constantly just trying to bring your thoughts back. You spend more time trying to hold your thoughts, to concentrate on what you're doing, and you get tired easily. Maybe your focus is to get things done around the house, run around, go to school, do this assignment, all of that. But while you are doing that, if the phone is ringing, the email is popping, Facebook is springing, that one is happening, even the little that you want to do in the house, you don't become effective in doing them. You know why? Because our brain is naturally programmed to be more productive when there are little or no distractions. When there are little or no distractions, because then all the energy that your brain and your mind can summon is focused. It's laser focused on the task at hand. It's not everywhere just touching this, reaching that, going there and doing all of that. I'm talking now about the benefits of being alone. So the first one we talked about is that spending time alone increases productivity. It helps you to get to be more productive. Number two, it fosters better relationship with others. I know that sounds paradoxical. How can you say being alone will help you spend better time with other people? You see, it's either there are two groups of people. It's either you're an extrovert or you are an introvert. And usually the extroverts, they are the bubbling in your face, life of the party, loudest in the room, and that kind of a person. The introverts, they just sit quietly. They examine things. They ponder. You can even go as much as to say they are very shy to be in the midst of people, to talk, to address a gathering, to interact with a complete stranger. An introvert is more withdrawn into himself or herself. Now, the benefit of that is it helps, and that those characteristics of an introvert, it helps them to reach deeper and find meaning within themselves, to find the core of who they are. And they are able to express self-awareness. They are able to express empathy better than the guy who is everywhere and in everybody's business and this and that. And so what that does is it makes it possible for introverts to understand what others are going through, to empathize, to sympathize, to relate to what other people are dealing with. And because of that, they are able to contribute meaningfully, quality effect to whatever others are going. And that helps their relationship. In fact, studies have shown that relationships will thrive when the individuals that are involved, when they can take a step back and just forget about yourself and just look at the other person. Put yourself in the other person's shoes and see from their own perspective. So being alone helps foster better relationship with others. Number 3, it allows you to revitalize your mind. Being alone, it helps you to inject fresh energy, new energy into your mind. It's a great thing to mingle around and talk to people and relate to people. But what happens when the light is off? When the lights are off? When the music has stopped? When the guests have gone home? When there is silence in the place? Then what happens? What happens when your brain, in the midst of the busyness and the noise and all of that, when your brain starts to yearn for just give me a break. Just let me have a breathing space here. But oh no, because you are everything is about you and you have to be you overtask your brain, your mind, your body, your intellect. Everything is stretched almost to a breaking point. But when you spend time to be alone, when you take time out to just be by yourself, suddenly all that boiling water, all that rage, all that tsunami, all that earthquake that is going on in your mind, in your body, in your brain, in your system, everything calms down. Everything just calms down. Now your brain, your mind, your body is able to have a breather. Is able to reconnect all those broken nerves and broken tissues and broken connections and broken this and all of that. In fact, I liken this to For instance, if you have a computer and suddenly you recognize that the computer is a bit slow, it's not responding as quickly as it should do or as it has been doing. One of the things they will say is check the memory size, check your hard drive. If all of that is okay, they say, have you? When was the last time you had a backup? You did a backup. Oh, I did it yesterday. Okay, when was the last time you did a defragmentation? What's that? Yeah, defragmentation. Because the way computer memory and storage works is because it's constantly processing. It just puts things in different places so that it can go to the next one. But when you then carry out a defragmentation process, everything then they go around and find their neighbors, what relates to them, and it brings everything back and it sets everything correctly, and it creates room now for new data, for new processing, for there is now room for growth. And once it's done and you reboot that computer, boom, it's back on its speed. The same thing with your mind, with your brain, with your body. But you see, one of the ways to do a defragmentation, as it were, is to find a time to be alone. To just step back and be by yourself. It doesn't mean you have to go and lie down and sleep. But if sleep is what works for you, fine. But you and I must establish, how do I, when do I, how can I, where can I find that place where I am just by myself. One of the things I like doing, I really enjoy doing, is driving. Oh, I just like driving. And one of the things I enjoy about driving is that it gives me time to just be by myself, to just think, to pray, to process, to consider, to just shut it all down. I don't know what works for you, but for me, one of the wonderful things I enjoy about driving is that it gives me that time where it's just me and the steering. Especially if you have a car that has cruise control and you're traveling a long distance, just bang the thing to the speed limit, hit the cruise control, and hold the steering and let the car drive itself. Gives you time. Well, it gives me time to think. Another benefit of being alone is it boosts your creativity, like we said, like I was referring to with your effectiveness. When you are alone, when you are quiet, when everything around you is not jumping up and down and racing and all of that, your mind have the tendency to come up with some wonderful ideas, some great creativity that you have not seen, you have not thought about, some things that you've been trying to find a solution, an answer to. What's the way forward? Why is this thing so knot? The knot is so tight, I can't unlock it, I can't unwrap it. But when you are quiet, when you are alone, when you spend time with yourself, your mind is like Google. It will go around looking for the answer, searching for the solution, bringing different scenarios and different ideas and different concepts and different inspirations and different things will start coming up in your mind. When you are alone, when you are just by yourself, it's one of the best times when amazing plans will pop up. We've all heard of the story of J.K. Rowling. how she started in a coffee shop with a napkin, just by herself, just with herself. And she started to scribble on that napkin. And her mind was traveling. Ideas were coming. Inspirations were flowing. And she started to scribble on that paper napkin. And today, the rest, as they say, is story. When you are by yourself, your mind will start to compare the pros and the cons of a decision that you've made, a decision that you are going to make, and it prepares you for something that you don't even know is coming. And then when it comes, you're ready, prepared. You're ready, got what it takes. And people say, wow, he just have an answer. No, it's because he spent time with himself or herself to bring him or her to that point where when it happened, it was easy to do. I've heard of companies that pay people to just go and sit down in a corner somewhere and just think for that company. And they pay them well. Because in that season of being alone by yourself, processing all those thoughts and capturing them in paper, on audio, on this, on that, then you come out with answers. Maybe if you and I would learn to spend time with ourselves, some of the issues that we're dealing with, some of the things that are harassing us, that are confronting us, some of the so-called naughty, never going away problems in our lives, maybe we'll have resolved them. But because we're too busy, we're too much in a hurry, there's so many things. Our minds, our brains, our bodies, our emotions, our psyche, they are all stretched to breaking point. So we haven't got room to process new data, to examine new ideas, to challenge even old beliefs. And so we keep going round and round and round the same. How to be alone and yet be happy. How to be alone and still be happy. We've heard of what is the difference between being alone and being lonely. We've established the benefits of being alone. The question is how? How can I do it? What do I do? How can I process? Where do I start from? Being alone and yet be happy. The first thing you must do is you must be your primary source of validation. Learn to be the primary source of your own validation. Now, don't get me wrong. There is great benefits in people telling you how great you are, how wonderful you are, how beautiful you look, how excellent you perform. It's great. But if that is all you live for, you'll be disappointed. If that is the only source of your validation, of your confirmation, if that is the only source that you have, you'll be disappointed. You'll feel rejected. You feel abandoned. You feel nobody cares. Nobody loves you. When you are waiting for friends and families and colleagues and bosses and whoever to pat you on the back all the time, to praise you and recognize you and make you feel great, what happens when they are too busy? They can't see themselves, talk less of seeing you. What happens when they just don't see what you think they should see? What happens when their minds have traveled and they're just standing in front of you, empty and hollow? What happens then? That's the time when you get disappointed. You feel they don't recognize you. They don't appreciate you. They can't see the value that you bring to the team. Maybe they can't. But can you? Can you see it for yourself? Can you validate yourself? I'm not talking about you building yourself up so big that your head can't go through the doorway. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm talking of genuine, sincere validation after you've examined yourself. There's the old saying, when an agama lizard falls from the top of the tree and it lands on the ground, it looks to the right and to the left. When there is nobody there to say, wow, that was a good jump, he nods his head to say, well done, I've done really well. So you and I should deliberately train ourselves to get used to the absence of people's validation, but rather to take some time off from the noise and the busyness and the clamoring of life and learn the hobby of reading, of writing, of seeing some great movies, of just finding something within you that validates you, that says to you, you are it. You are the real McCoy. You've got what it takes. Because if you wait for others, some will not give you, not because they can't see, but because they're too busy. Some will not validate you, not because they can't see you, but because they've seen you and they are just jealous. And they don't want you to feel you are the best thing. They don't want to acknowledge that. So why don't you do like the agama lizard and just validate yourself? Number 2, learn to feel and be self-aware. Be self-aware of yourself. See, you can take a person out of a psychology class, but you can't take psychology out of a human being. The only person that can truly make you happy is you. The only person that can really, truly, totally reach deep down on the inside of you and touch your mind, your emotions, your feeling, your being, your core is you. Learn to therefore spend time with yourself and practice self-awareness. Don't stand aloof from your feeling. Don't disregard your feelings. Don't rubbish what you are feeling and how you are feeling it. Identify with yourself. I've said this before many times on this platform. When I'm tired, I know it. Yeah, now you could say, well, everybody knows when they're tired. No, some of us know it. They know they're tired, but they don't stop. It's not enough for you to know you're tired. It's what do you do with knowing that you're tired? Identify yourself. What are your goals? What are your dreams? What are your setbacks? What are your shortcomings? In which area are you failing yourself? Know the things that make you you. What are they? Become self-aware. Feel yourself, your presence by yourself. You want to be alone and be happy. Spend time with nature. We're all too busy now. There's a project that must be delivered. There's an assignment that must be completed. There is the deal that must be pursued. There is that phone call that you must make. There is that this and that. That's that. And we are all busy going nowhere. Busy going nowhere. Busy going nowhere. No. Every now and again, shut it down. Spend time with yourself. Connect with nature. Can I tell you, there's nothing as soothing and refreshing and re-energizing like bonding, connecting with nature. Spend some time in the garden. Just sit there and watch the leaves move from one side to another. And feel the breeze just blow past your face. And see the flower just peel open and bloom. And just enjoy that instance that you can't recapture, you can't recreate. It's just for that instant. Just listen quietly to the birds as they just listen to the sound they're making. In the cool of the evening, just lie down and look into the sky and watch the stars as they sparkle and as they sprinkle, as they just do the thing and forms and this and connect with nature. Look at clouds as they form different shapes and different images and different things, and they move from one place to another. And I know for some of you, say that's a waste of time. No, it's not. That's the problem with you. It's not a waste of time. It's the time you spend with yourself. If you are the kind of person that that's an outdoor person, on Saturday, just grab your hiking boots and put your backpack on with 2 packs of sandwiches and a good battery charger for your navigation. Just go walking go hiking and climbing the mountains and do something that makes you just have to think and talk to yourself. And one of the best ways to do that is to connect with nature. When you create time for yourself, to be with yourself, it is also an avenue for you to work on your self-improvement. We all have lists of things. I'm going to do this. I want to do this. I like to do this. I like to. I wish to. I have to. I need to. And none of them ever get touched. How many years ago have you been talking about, oh, I need to write that book? And you haven't done it. Oh, I need to just work on that thing that I have in the garage. You bought that thing 4 years ago. It's still in the garage. And all you need to do is to screw it up together, to tie this one to that one, and just tie it up and dismantle it, and tie it up and dismantle it. But you're too busy, you can't do that. But when you create time to be alone, that is a perfect time to do such things. That's why most men, when they retire, they spend a lot of time in their garages because they have uncompleted projects that they have not started, things they have thought they need to do, they have to do, they should do, and now they have the time and they just go to the garage, open the front of the place, and they spend the whole afternoon doing nothing, spending time with themselves, by themselves, for themselves, alone. How many times have you said, I need to learn how to play this musical instrument? And all you do every Sunday is play imaginary keyboard and imaginary guitar, when you could spend that few hours a week, 2 hours a week, 3 hours a week to just learn. on YouTube. Learn on YouTube until you are in a position where you can take it out. When you spend time with yourself, by yourself, you deliberately ease into the pleasure of relaxation. That's another thing you can do. I talked earlier on about ladies talking about me time. No, this one is something similar, but it's just for you. Fill the bath, sprinkle some smellies on it, light the candle, and just sit in it for 1 hour. Nothing, just you by yourself in the bath. And see how it makes you feel. Oh, Tunde, come on, that's a waste of time. No. It's the way you restore your life. You reconnect with yourself. You refocus your energy. You re-energize your system. You retune your mind. Shut the door against the cares of this world as if they don't exist at all. Create time for yourself. You know, there's nothing wrong. It's another one. There's nothing wrong in you going out alone. Go out alone by yourself. Go out by yourself. Go to the park and by yourself. Go to the coffee shop by yourself. Go to the movies by yourself. Go to the seaside by yourself. Go to the town center do something by yourself. There is nothing wrong. Go and have that slap up meal by yourself. Do it because it matters to you, for you. You still don't know how to create time to be alone? Feel free to be weird. One of the unfortunate things that we have robbed ourselves of, especially as adults, is that we think we're too big to play. Seriously? One of the things, like I said, I like driving. One of the things I enjoy when I'm driving, if I'm not thinking or just being quiet. When it comes to music, there are 3 musicians, all of them dead now, unfortunately. For me, they are my kind of music. Bob Marley. Any reggae that's not Bob Marley, it's not for me. I can listen to it, just don't do me anything. Don Williams. Country music that is not Don Williams, it's great. It just doesn't capture me like. And finally, Fuji music. It has to be Barrister. If it's not for me. I'll listen to it, but those 3, I could drive from here to Glasgow and back and to Carmarthenshire and back. If I have those 3, I'm fine. And I don't just listen. I dance. I enjoy. I allow myself to just flow with it, to just be in it. I know some of you are thinking, and you call yourself a Christian. Yes, I am. You see, that's another thing. We think Christianity is a prison yard. We think because now you're a Christian, you can't. What can you do then as a Christian? Christ said, it is for freedom that I have set you free. Not to be subject to any yoke of slavery. But we then put a yoke around our own neck in the name of religion. Christ didn't. Jesus will not reject me for listening to Don Williams or Bob Marley or Barrister. If you have problem with that, that's your problem. But hey, I am going to just enjoy my time with me by myself. I know you think, oh, that's weird. It's weird to you. Yeah, it's weird, but I'm enjoying it. Guess who is suffering? As I close, if there's one thing you should convince yourself about on all of this, it's the fact that it is normal for you to live your life the way you have chosen. There is nothing abnormal about you deciding how you will live your life. You don't need to try and convince anyone that this is what you want to do and this is how you want to do and this is the way you feel it should be done for you, by you, to you. You don't need anybody's permission. Don't beat yourself up if, in fact, don't even go there. Don't beat yourself up to prove to somebody else that the life that you have chosen did not. No, you don't need anybody's approval to live your life. There's a place of mutual respect and mutual understanding. Nobody is responsible for you. We are responsible to each other. We're not responsible for each other. I'm responsible for myself. Now I'm responsible to the people in my life, my wife, my children, my family. I'm not responsible for them. They're not responsible for me. It's my life. I choose the way to live it. It's your life. And if you have decided to be happy, and you have found the best way to be happy, why then should you not be happy? Laugh, live, be happy. Even being alone, be happy. Because you will soon discover that perhaps that is the greatest discovery of life. That you can be by yourself, with yourself, for yourself, and be happy. Go on. I dare you. I double dare you to be alone and be happy. To set that time aside. To shut it all down just for you. Because you have chosen to be happy that way. And then see how true happy you will be. Thank you so much for your time tonight. I know I have ruffled some feathers. I know some people are wondering, what is he talking about? Well, it may not work for you. I recognize that it won't work for everybody because we all have different things that we're pursuing and all of that. And kudos to you. As for me, I said to somebody, we're too old to be young. This life is passing by. This day, the 20th of February, is gone. 20th of February 2020, it's gone forever. Life is too short not to be happy. And if that happiness is found in you being by yourself, have at it. Thank you. God bless you. I'll see you again next week. Bye-bye.